knows when, but inshallah it will pay off. And likewise with ourselves. And I'd also like to point out something, and I want to conclude on this as well. I mentioned the story in every community I go to. If I go to a new community, I pray that inshallah I can come again one day. It's lovely to be with you here today. Inshallah I can return again, inshallah. But there's a particular episode that I'd like to share with everybody. And this episode is what keeps me going in life. Even to this day, every time I remember this story and episode, it gives me a particular look on life. The year was 2014. There was no Hajj ride happening at this time. I was just, an Imam just living in Southampton, where I was living originally. And there was an elderly uncle, the uncle figure that I knew in the community, mashallah, Haji Gulnawaz Abbasi. Very nice uncle, mashallah, very tall, stout, strong uncle. One of the first people to ever settle in the city of Southampton, many years in the 60s. So he was one of the first settlers. He knew me from a young boy growing up. Whenever I used to study about Islam, always asking me how I'm doing. Sometimes, and I say this to the young generation, just because somebody doesn't speak on our language, doesn't mean we can't respect them. Just them being in front of us and being around us is a blessing. Because when they're gone, a lot of the barakah in the community goes. I can honestly say that. And, mashallah, our elderly uncles and people with us, they have done things for our community that we could not have done. They came and set up our masajid, set up our communities way back when it was difficult for us. There were people and brothers and sisters who helped our communities when everybody was against our community, wouldn't even let us have a mosque. They fought for us. We should respect our elder generation. Even if you can't speak the language of respect towards them and guarantee Allah will reward us in return. So this elderly uncle, when he passed away in 2014, it was Ramadan. And Ramadan, you know what Ramadan does, it really opens up your heart and softens your mind. So at the janazah prayer, after the janazah prayer had concluded in Southampton in the main cemetery there, I thought rather than go home straight away, let's take a quick roam around the other graves and to see if I can recognize anybody else and pray for them. And it took me to the old area of the graveyard, not the new area, the old area far at the end where people from back in the 60s and 70s had passed away and been buried. Early settlers. As I was walking that way, something caught my eye. It was a marble base with another stone on top, as they sometimes do have, very small one. And the marble top bit, this tombstone, had snapped and fallen off for some reason. And, I'm sure anybody would have done the same. I just thought it was the right thing to do was to put it back in its place. And I did that. So as I picked it up and moved it, out of curiosity, I'm sure we all like to see the details. So I looked at the actual stone, and some of the details on that stone were details that shook me and resonated with me far greater than anything else I had seen up until that point. The name of this person, Umar Khayyam Akhtar. It said underneath, born January 1984. Now, I was born in January 1984. Underneath it said, died May 1984. I can honestly say, even as I say the story to you right now, I'm trying to hold back the tears. Because this story, it shook me in so many ways, but in a positive way as well. Basically, I was looking at the tombstone of a young boy, a baby boy, who was born around the time I was born. In fact, a few days older than me. And this baby boy, sadly, due to illness, had passed away just 3 months later. This baby boy hadn't seen the light of day for nearly 40 years. So there I am, a young boy growing up, 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. I'm going through all the motions of infancy. I'm learning to walk, learning to talk, going to nursery, going to school. He's still there. I'm going to secondary school, learning to become a hafiz. He's still there. I go to university, get a degree, get married, have children. He's still there. I go on fun days here and there and family on holiday. He's still there. I'm having lovely, exotic and lovely meals. He's still there. He hasn't moved an inch. He hasn't seen anything happening in his life or anybody else's life. He's been buried there, bless him, for as long as I have been alive. And that told me something. That told me, and back then, in the year 2014, I was hitting the age of 30. My daughter was born, bless her. Mashallah, our children are so dear to us. She was having illnesses and problems. I was struggling with that. I had a few other personal issues I was going through. So I was in a bit of a dark place, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that stone, I told myself, no matter what I'm going through in life, I am alive.